Hey everyone, it's Robin Cavallaro with the Robin Cavallaro Group of Remax 100. And no, you're not imagine things. I'm not in my house today. actually in my office. So occasionally I pop in. And today I get Allison Day out of Central Florida, Orlando area. So how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Robin. Thanks for having me.
So I appreciate you being one of my initial guinea pigs on this and willing to do this crazy new idea I had. So I know you also spent time as a spouse.
I
So what
did.
branch?
Army.
My
Yeah.
brothers were Army and so was my
Oh,
dad.
yeah.
Yeah. My youngest brother, give him a shout out. He was 82nd. So
Mine too. My husband. Yes.
really?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So when was he at Fort Bragg, which is now Fort Liberty? Everybody keep your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. 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 I forgot about that. Um, so we're a little, our path went a little different. So he had, when he was 16, he had told his mom, I want to go in the military. His grandfather was retired. I don't remember his rank, something in the Air Force. So the natural assumption was he was going to go Air Force. He spoke with some recruiters for whatever reason. The Army spoke to him. So at the time, and I honestly don't even know if this is something they do anymore, but when he turned 17, they would allow him to enter, enlist with the parents, authorization. And he was trying to talk his mom into that. Didn't work out. He waited till he was 18. He ended up enlisting, but he was dead set on the Army, and his grandfather kept trying to convince him otherwise. But yeah, so he went Army. We had just gotten out of high school. I started college. He went to basic training and came back. We got married, and I'm like, all right, so where do you think we're gonna go? He said, oh, they always tell us that they don't send married families overseas. So I'm sure we're going to be close. I have a very, very close family. My sisters are my
Yeah.
best friends, So I was very scared about moving away.
Yes.
He comes back one day. We have this little one-bedroom apartment, a big, big Labrador dog. Like, well, I have good news and bad news. And I said, what? He goes, well, what do you got first? I said, the good news. He said, well, I'm going to buy you a Mercedes. And I said, oh, okay, what's the bad news? Well, we're moving to Germany.
Oh my God.
And I did get the Mercedes. It was a 1984 diesel hunk of junk, but it's one of my favorite stories. So, what it turned out to be the most amazing experience. So we
Yeah.
actually didn't go 82nd until his next ETS, which was to Fort Bragg. And then he, of course, went to, jump school and all that good stuff. So,
So my dad has a similar story to your husband because when he was 17, he went to my grandfather and said, I'm getting married in the morning. And
morning.
my grandfather said, are you sure? He goes, yeah, I'm in love with, and I think her name was Emily, obviously not my mother, but
Okay.
and my granddaddy said, okay, in the morning, you and I are going to run an errand. We're going to go get you ready for your wedding. So my dad wakes up early in the morning. They jump in the car. My grandfather drives him
No.
to the army recruiter. Him by
No.
the ear inside. Like, keep in mind, my dad was like a couple of inches taller than my grandfather, so he's more like dragging him like this. Takes him in there and he says, all right, he thinks he's man enough to get married. Return him to me in 3 years when he really is a man.
You're kidding me.
No,
Oh
I'm
my
not.
God. I love that.
So he went through basic and then he was in Germany. And according to what my brothers found, we're still working it out. He's like he was in the same unit as Elvis, but a few months apart. He never,
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
yeah, because I'm sure
Wow.
my dad would have made fast friends, and next thing you know, we would have been hanging out at Graceland.
Heck yeah. Darn, you were this close.
That's much.
That's
Yeah. So, but my brother was at Fort Bragg because that's what it was at the time. So calm
okay.
down,
Yep,
people.
yep, yep. I still call it Fort
Um, from 86 until I want to say like 90-ish, 89, 90, something like that. So,
Okay. Yeah. So we missed him. We got to brag the first time in 95. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was your husband paratrooper?
Yes. So his MOS was 71 Golf. First, he changed. He was patient. I know 71 Golf, 91 Bravo. I know those two, and I don't remember which order. So it was all in medical.
Okay.
Initially, he thought, yeah, he wanted to do so. Again, he did follow his grandfather's footsteps in that. His grandfather was a patient in patient administration and ended up retiring from the Air Force and then retiring as a hospital director down in Tampa. Or something. I don't remember what his actual title is. So he opened and ran the, I think it was Tampa General, in fact. But so yeah, he's like, okay, I'm going to go into medical and whatever. And that was his route. Yeah. So, but he's like, I can't just, can't just work in an office. I have to do something cool. And, so he was a medic. And when he jumped with a medical kit, not with all the weapons. He's like,
well, someone had to be ready to bandage up those fools when they got to the bottom.
Oh, and he did. Oh, he has some stories. And he injured himself a time or two. Not too badly, but he does have repercussions from it. But it's all good. He wouldn't change it for the world. It was really a great experience for us all.
That's amazing. So what was it like having to pack up everything? And let's face it, 18, you're still a child. Pack up everything and move to another country, leaving your family behind, everything you knew behind. I mean, although you got your Mercedes, but
yeah, I got that one. I got there. Yeah. So, and I was still in school, so I basically had to, leave school here and try to enlist there, which I enroll rather there, which I couldn't do right away because I didn't know the area, didn't speak the language. We didn't live on base. We actually lived off base, which again was wonderful once we got our sea legs. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck here. But yeah, in fairness, at 18 we had like a suitcase of stuff. We don't even, so that part wasn't that bad. We had a couple pieces of furniture that had been given to us because from family. But actually, that's funny because we got there. He got there September, October, and I didn't get there until like the day before Thanksgiving. And I was adamant I was going to have us a Thanksgiving dinner. So I sent it with a list of things to pick up. We, pots, pans, all that. We had nothing. They ship us over there and they give us all military furniture. Luckily, again, like I said, we're off base. And in this cute little 2-bedroom, I guess they call it an apartment. It was the top floor of our landlord's house, which was a wonderful experience. But yeah, so we have like a chair, a TV, a bed, everything. There are no closets in Germany. So those of you who know, so you have trunks where you put your furniture. No kitchen cabinets. Everything was a piece of furniture. Yeah, it was really unique. I mean, it's basically a shell otherwise. So I get there and, I want to make it a home, but it was not my stuff. But yeah, so we had our first Thanksgiving meal and it was like, he bought a turkey like this big, which was fine because it was just the two of us and made mashed potatoes. That was fun. But yeah, it took us, we didn't get our stuff until after Christmas.
Oh my gosh. And then when y'all came back here, I assume you're coming back with stuff now.
Yes, and a baby.
Yeah, so you got a permanent souvenir.
Totally different. Yeah. But yeah, going there, that was the other thing too, is and I probably could have figured out a way around this. We had the dog, they had mentioned, so we had to give the dog away because he would have had to be quarantined and then finding a place. It was hard enough for him to find a place, let alone find a place that would allow a pet. So that was really hard on me. But yeah, so coming back, we definitely had more things. We had a different car because that really wasn't a practical car. And it was diesel. And I think at the time that wasn't really something we were going to ship back. But we got a little Honda Civic and we had to ship that back. And I remember our older son at the time he had just turned 2. He was just a little bit over 2. And we're, explaining the whole thing to him. It's going to be an adventure. and pack it. I think the biggest box or the most boxes were all his toys. You know, they're babies, they're kids. They've
Of
got more
course,
things than
yeah.
we did. But yeah, moving back from there, the military handled it all. You know, it was,
Yeah.
we couldn't move, you know, we couldn't hire a moving company. We couldn't drive it ourselves. So we kind of relied on them. Um, but after that, we learned you could save a couple bucks by doing it yourself.
See, and we were never brave enough to do it ourselves.
Mm-mm.
And, I think the biggest part was, it's like, how are we going to lift all this stuff? How are we going to carry it down the stairs? How are we going to do all this? And the first time we transferred, the kids were 2 and 4. So it's like, you got two little wee ones underfoot,
Yeah.
and one of them comes with autism. So that just really amped it up. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
10 little wee ones. And it just, my ex suggested it once, and I said, looked at him, I said, for the love of God, no.
Yeah, I don't know. We were really broke. So we were like,
Oh no,
we could make like $20. I'm taking it.
don't get me wrong. There was no extra cash in the Cavallaro household because, you figure the first time we transferred, he was what, a JG, and which, I mean, that's a what, O2.
Yeah.
It's not like there's extra money anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Working under the couch cushions.
Yeah.
I was working, still working for a defense contractor, and like scrape together the pennies.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just,
It's tough. I don't know. I think I realized it afterward how much it really took, but I don't know. My husband and I, we kind of always have that mindset of we just look for solutions. We don't like worry about
yeah,
the problem. So we just, here's the issue at hand. Okay, what's the best way to tackle it? It got harder as the kids got older,
yeah.
leaving friends. But I don't know. The actual moves I appreciated when we bought our first house, which was we got back in 2002
Okay.
and back to Florida. And we bought our first house in 2004. And I think that's when I realized, it's different when you're doing it all on your own.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
family, but it's not the same thing, The Army or the military it's regimented even for the spouses, even for the children. You kind of almost always know what to expect to some degree. And that I love it because that's just how I thrive. I thrive under those kind of conditions.
And that's the thing is like, I know for us, there's no such day that's truly structured where you know where things are going to go. I had my day all laid out today. Then I got a call from a new buyer. So as soon as we finish, I'm scurrying to go show more houses tonight. And I'm like, all righty, we got this. It's spring market. I'm like, you want to see? I will show you.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you get into real estate?
So that's also an interesting story. So my husband David, at like the 8.5 year mark, he was running the hemo-oncology clinic at the hospital actually at Fort Lewis in Washington.
Okay.
And they were getting ready for their, what they call it now. It was whatever evaluation, like HIPAA. It was before HIPAA was a thing, but they're can't think of the term. Anyway, they were all scrambling because the computers they were having a lot of issues with the computers. So they were constantly bringing in these teams of IT experts. And he's watching them and he's like learning from them. And it was, this was in 98. So, computer technology was not what it is today. IT was still kind of a new concept. And he was just fascinated by it. So he just started asking a lot of questions, learning about it. He came home. I was actually visiting here with the kids back in Florida, and he calls me and he said, "Babe, I've had an epiphany. I know what I want to do with the rest of my life, and it's not medical, and it's not the military." And I thought, this is a fleeting moment. Okay, honey, whatever. But no, I came back from a 2-week vacation here, came back and he had cleared out the garage. He had like 5 of these old computers that the hospital was basically throwing away. And he was like, you've seen Beautiful Mind? I swear that's our little garage. I'm like, what is happening right now? It was all of them. So he started taking classes, on the side there for different certifications. And he basically, started the PCS process. And he put in first PCS in May, because actually May 6th, yesterday was his enrollment or enlistment date. So then 9/11 hit, and we thought they're for sure not going to approve this. So,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's what he's here for. And people start getting called up. He's not getting called. A couple days later, he gets his PCS orders. They approved them.
Holy
And,
cow.
oh, okay. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Lots of this is still a little sad and bittersweet because it was just a weird time in our lives. But yeah, so we actually transitioned out back here in February, but he had, so much time left that he actually didn't officially get discharged until May. So we got back here. He went right to school. He enrolled in school for the spring semester, whatever you could do, using his GI Bill, which was really the best $120 a month we ever spent. And again, we were broke. We were so broke. And it was hard to pay that for that first year, but we did it. And I'm so grateful. I don't know what it is now, but that's what we did.
Honestly, I don't know. I just know that GI Bill paid for my daughter to go to Alabama. So
yeah, so there you go.
To everyone.
Great investment.
Yes, that was a great $200,000 savings.
Yeah. Amazing. But yeah, so because he was getting out, even though he still had a stipend and he got, housing allowance through the GI Bill, and he also has some disability. So he got disability. We couldn't live on that. So I had to go back to work, which was fine. I got a good job that actually allowed me to work from home, which back then was rarity. So I could still be there for the boys and, be PTA mom and all the stuff that I did and wish I could still do. And then I did that for about 1.5 years. And a lady at my church, who I became very friendly with, was a realtor. She had a small little brokerage. And she kept telling me, you'd be great in real estate. Well, you should really think about it. I'm like, I can't consider commission. Are you kidding? I was making so little money as it was. We were still scraping by while he was in school. I'm like, I don't know. I got to wait for him to graduate and then we'll figure out the next steps.
Yeah.
And yeah, he graduated in 2004. We bought our first house. And then shortly after that, I decided, okay, I'm going to try this. So I studied for the exam and I got my license the following year and I haven't looked back. It was scary. For me, it was a big risk.
It's terrifying going into this business. And some days it's still terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, there are some days I'm like, man, that 9-to-5 job, that thing sounds pretty good right now. Hey, you can make weekend plans. Now you write everything in pencil. And I say, yeah, I'm available Friday afternoon not anymore.
Nope, never mind, sorry. And your friends luckily just understand.
Yes, thank God. Otherwise, they'd be sitting at home every night going, someone please call me. Someone please call me. Someone please call. It's so different in this world.
It is. And like I said before, this is not anything that I would normally migrate towards. So it's not how I operate. I like things very orderly. I like the systems, and for the life of me, still can't feel like I can catch my tail in this business that I've been doing this 19 years.
No, and you and I are the same. I share that with your husband because before I got into real estate, I wrote financial tracking software for the Navy.
Oh, wow.
I work for a defense contractor. So it's like when you said 98, I'm like, yeah. And what's funny is my company moved my office to my house the month before my daughter was born. And she was born December 97. So November 97, I started working from home. And it was only going to be temporarily until 7 years later when I retired. And then each time we transferred, I look at my ex and go, if they can do this, I can do this.
Mhm.
I want to try this whole real estate thing. And I had this cute little thought in the beginning. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it when the kids are in school.
Mhm.
Epiphany. People who buy houses are at work when my kids are in school. So it didn't, that concept didn't
Yeah,
last too long. So all of a sudden I'm like, yes, I can show you that house at 4 o'clock, but my kids will be with me, or we can meet at 6 when at the time my husband is home. And they're like, ah, no, bring them. I'm like, are you crazy? Have you met my children?
that's funny.
You know, and
Uh,
one of my very first buyers is, I mean, I still love them now. And I think by now she's figured out she was my first buyer.
oh.
My very first one. Second house I saw, first buyer. My daughter would walk in there and open it up. She goes, Miss Marge, you don't want to buy this house.
Oh,
And Morgan was almost 7. And she goes, well, why is that, Morgan? She goes, not enough closet space. Let's go. And I'm like, dang, girl, you ain't wrong. But can we say a little bit
you're not
nicer?
wrong.
Oh my
That's
God.
adorable. Is she in real estate now?
I'm trying to get her into it, really trying. It's like she lives in Alabama right now, so I want her to move home, get her license, and work for me.
That would
And
be cool.
yeah, it would be maybe,
Mm.
as long as we don't kill each other, it'll be good. Um, so do y'all have bases in Orlando area?
Yeah, so we've got support
Yeah.
basically. So we've got the naval training support, we've got recruitment
Okay.
offices. So I do work, I have had a lot of clients that were recruiters. So they came here for the, 3, sometimes 5 years, and they've bought homes. A lot of times they buy them, they keep them, rent them out, and then they choose to retire back here. Lots of retired vets.
Nice. Well, I know
Yeah,
you have a lot retired. I mean, because, and then you have a lot of tourists that go there because of Disney.
yeah.
Um,
I have
we,
also, I also cover Cape Canaveral, so which is Patrick Air Force Base is right over there. So we will get some active duty there, but not, it's just really primarily it's more retired and
okay,
recruiters.
that's fine. You
Yeah.
know, VA loans, VA loan. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
you're serving now or did serve. All right, so educate the blonde. I'm not that familiar. I know, I can say
It's
it joking.
darker, but it's
Is so I know Orlando's here in the center. Where's Cape Canaveral? Is it Gulf? Is it Atlantic?
no, it's Atlantic, so it's the east side.
Okay, so and then is it like north of Daytona or?
It is, it is, it's a little bit more south of Daytona. Yeah,
Okay,
south of Daytona. Yeah, I'm trying to, one thing of New Smyrna. So Daytona, there's Ormond, Daytona, New Smyrna, Cocoa, and then Cape is kind of in between all that.
okay,
And
because I know,
Satellite Beach.
yeah, I know about this much about Florida. It's, we used to take the kids to Disney every other year because we love the whole military discount. And
Hmm.
then you throw in the whole, with Brent having autism, we had their pass where you went to the front of every line until they got rid of that policy. But it was awesome to be able to, I'm sorry, say, I will call you back. Um, but it was awesome to be able to ride every ride in the park
Oh
as
gosh,
much
yeah.
as you wanted to. You stood in line maybe 2 minutes. That was it.
That's
And
unheard of. Yeah.
I know it was
Wow.
awesome. And then they got rid of it. And I've heard the rumors about why they did, but fact or fiction doesn't matter. And then my brother went to Embry-Riddle, the same one who decided to jump out of planes.
Yeah.
He went to Embry-Riddle, which is I know is in Daytona.
Yeah.
And we have a cousin in Miami, which I think everyone does, according to Jimmy Buffett at least. Um, so we really do. In fact, what's
That's
the
fun.
his birthday is in 2 days. So happy birthday, Chris, if you're listening.
Happy birthday, Chris.
And then I've been over to Sarasota, and
Mhm.
obviously we were in Marco Island last fall, but I don't really know much about the state. It's like I
Yeah.
pop out. So
So Sarasota is about 2 hours from us. Sarasota,
okay.
St. Pete, anything in that. Tampa also about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Depends on how fast you drive.
And then y'all are about what, an hour over the beaches on the
Mhm.
Atlantic side?
Yep, just about anywhere 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, that's nothing.
No, it's really not. I've got a little condo over in Melbourne right now, and it's less than an hour. It's like 15 minutes door to door. And it's a
Okay.
beautiful drive. You go when,
Good.
especially once you go over the bridge, and it's just wow,
You're like, ah.
so pretty.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this can sound like an odd question, but just hear me out till the
Okay.
end. How close are you to the villages?
Oh, that's pretty far. Oh, that's over in Ocala, so it's almost 2 hour, about an hour and 45 minutes.
And the reason why I ask is there's another Robin Cavallaro who's a realtor down there. And she
Oh,
spells her name Robyn. I'm Rbin. So I get
but
calls
same last
all the
name?
time.
I mean, spelled
Same last
exactly the same?
name,
Wow.
same email address, except for one letter, because I'm Robin at
Hmm.
RobinCavallaro.com, so is she. But
Wow.
she's the Y. Our websites are the same except for that one letter. And I get calls for her all the time. And, I'm not down there. So occasionally I'm like, hey, who's in Florida that wants to be my partner and go to the villages? Is that wrong? Or,
It's not wrong. It's not wrong, but I will tell you, the Villages has a very, they have like a proprietary
yeah, very
concept.
unique.
So yeah, they actually have their own MLS.
Oh,
Yeah. So you can list a home in there and you can put it on the regular MLS, but unless you are a member of the Villages MLS, which is actually called the VLS, um, you're just not gonna get those people. And I'm telling you, it's like this little there's just something very special about the Villages. I've had a
I
lot of
approached
clients moving in and moving out, and I help them on, the opposite end, but I I'm not going to be, it's
yeah,
not a far drive. I don't mind driving that. It's not the distance,
yeah,
logistics. It's more of they have a very close knit group. It's just really hard to sell in there. As a buyer, it's a little bit easier, but if you're trying to sell in there, you really want to get an agent that is part of the
part
fold.
of that. Yes. And I mean,
Yeah.
I crack up because like some guy FaceTimed me one night. I was up in Jersey with Stephen Clyde, Ryan Sanford, and then Chris and Andrea Murray. All of us are hanging out. This guy's FaceTiming. He goes, can I see a house in the villages this weekend? I go, no, but I can connect you with someone who will show it to you. But it cracks me up how many times I get
Yeah.
calls. I'm like,
Well, I
you
can
got
kind of understand. That's crazy.
yeah, and so I've never met her, never talked with her, but I'm assuming she's a nice person. Her
I
videos
guess
are
so. I'm
great.
gonna have to look her up now and see if she's one of the special villages realtor. If she's just
Yeah, I know people say we look like we could be sisters, but I'm only Cavallaro by marriage. So yeah.
That's
So
nuts.
if someone's using, because I know you don't have a lot of active duty there, but like on average, how far would BAH go there if someone did come there either as a recruiter or the other part?
Yeah, I mean, I've helped a few with rentals too, because they
Yeah,
just don't know how long they're gonna stay. And obviously it's gonna depend on their rank and whether they have dependents. But yeah, most of the recruiters are single or they're here alone, the
right.
spouse and families back in their home base. But like our average rent here in or the Orlando area is about 1,900 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So, and VAH can range from like for like an E1 with no dependents, like 14, I think it is. I have it. I don't
this,
really see that. So usually where I see them, it covers it. I see them at like about the 18,
yeah.
17 to 1800 range, and you can get a rental for that.
And see, we're struggling so hard right now because most of like our mid-range, lower to mid-range military is moving here. Their BH is going to cover like a 300 to $400,000 house. And
Wow.
we
No,
we don't have hardly anything in that range.
it wouldn't cover that here. I mean,
And
unless
then
they're a senior officer, because uh, I mean, $200,000 loan,
uh,
you're looking at That's about like 1,700 a month with all, all in taxes, insurance.
And, and so, I mean, because I
I
know
can't even
we're
imagine.
yeah, we're outside DC, so we get a little bit of a break.
Yeah,
You know, even for our mid-range officers, they're still only looking at like 5 to 600, which is going to be a very basic house. You know, you're not getting the pool and the big lot and all of that. It's going to be like, here you go. The Brady Bunch aren't living there anymore,
right.
and it's been cleaned up a little bit. You know, but if you want to be within commuting distance to DC, a lot of times you're going to be six or over.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, I mean, they're paying more. It's just not covering all of it.
yeah,
They just end up
yeah,
supplementing it with their income, or, in a lot of cases, the spouse can work too, or sometimes we've had dual military, so that's nice.
yep. I'm working with one right now that's dual military, and yeah, which is nice. Yeah, it's like which VA,
Yeah.
I mean, which VA loan do you want to use this time? And they're like, oh, we're gonna use this eligibility this time. We've already used this one. I'm like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
It's been challenging right now because we're still getting multiple offers. We're still seeing them
Mhm.
going over asking. We've got people who need closing help, but sellers are like, well, I appreciate that. And that's,
Mhm.
but I got this offer over here that's paying me a lot more and they don't need anything back.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're saying that's more of the low end of
Yeah.
your range. Like, what is your median sales price?
Um, 4 to 450.
Okay, so that's what ours is too.
Yeah. And it's, we can also, like right now I have houses, I've got one house is getting ready to hit the market at 400, which is just a simple 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath house with a basement and a garage. And it's absolutely adorable. And then I've got, the top end I got that's getting ready to hit the market at 1.2. And that's got a pier and it's on, a nice waterway just north of Annapolis. So, I mean, we've got such a
Yeah,
huge
everything.
range of options, but it seems like if you're going, like, trying to stay closer to 300, there's nothing out there that's livable.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is scary.
It is scary. And for us, like, we do have some outliers, areas that they're starting to creep up in price, but there was a time where, like, DeLand, Deltona, DeBerry,
Yeah,
you could get, a lot of house for, a much more affordable price, and they're already starting to creep up. But Apopka, I have this cute little one over there that went right away. We had lots of interest, two offers, multiple offers,
yeah.
but it was
Hey,
literally 2 days. Had we let it go through the weekend, I know we would have had more, but it was a good offer. They really wanted us to move on it, and the sellers were happy with it, so they said, "Yep, let's do it." Anything under 400, you're gonna, if it, like you said, if it's nice, if it's been updated, if it has, a new roof, because roofs are a big issue here in Florida and probably everywhere, but I mean, for sure
yeah.
here because of insurance. Then yeah, you're gonna have multiple offers. But we're seeing that 5 range, like the 5 to 6 range, they're not moving as fast. They're taking longer. So we're already starting to see a shift over here.
We're not like during at the beginning of COVID, everyone was like, give me the biggest house you can give me the private office in there, give me the biggest
Mhm.
yard, give me a pool. I don't want to see the people I cohabitate with unless I want to. I want to be able to get away from them. I want to be able to send the kids outside and have
Yeah,
until their little
yeah,
hearts
yeah,
content, swim until they're ready to crash at night, you know. And now that people are starting to go back to the office, it's still about half and half here of those that were 100% remote. They're still not in the office full time.
mm,
But, we're seeing this shift of, okay, I don't necessarily want this big house. I just, because I'm
yeah. I
not
did
going
think
to
about
homeschool
that.
these little darlings,
Mhm.
I'm going to let my tax dollars work and you're going to educate my child for me. Which that was my attitude, hardcore. Um, I'm like, please, thank you, little yellow bus, for picking my kids up in the morning and bringing them home safely in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my kids would not probably speak to me today if I homeschooled them. Like, we have a good relationship because I did not do that.
And mine would probably still be in kindergarten if I
Well,
homeschooled.
there's that. I don't want to.
You know,
They
the
would
big
not have gone on to, get the degrees that they have and are living, good
the,
lives with with a
yeah, the
homeschool
best math lesson,
education.
the best math lesson my kids ever got from me was we would go shopping at Kohl's and have my 30% off coupon. I'm like, okay, if this is $30 and mommy has a 30% off coupon, how much money do I save? How much money does it cost? Is how much money am I saving? So then we would go home and they go, hey, daddy, mommy saved $100 today.
That was smart. Very smart. Yeah.
They were a little
Semantics.
brainwashed.
Yes.
We didn't talk about what I spent. We just talked about what I
Exactly.
saved.
I would tell my husband that. I'm like, well, I saved whatever. And he's like, opens the bank account. He's like, I don't see a deposit of a couple $100 that you just told me you saved. I'm like, no.
But,
But
the kids need clothes
you
anyway.
see that debit, it could have been more.
Exactly. You see all these clothes the kids have that they're going to wear out and destroy the next 5 minutes?
Yeah.
It's a little bit cheaper. So,
Shoes. Don't get
yeah.
started.
So what is the one thing or two things that you love the most about living in Orlando?
Oh, well, for me, it's personal because my whole family's here. Well,
Yeah.
say that when my son now lives in San Diego, but I grew up here, so this has always been home for me. So I've got long-term friends, my family, my sisters, my nieces, nephews, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think being in the military for those 10 years and moving around and even just visiting different places. I mean, it was, there were always little trips that we got to take, especially when we were over in Europe. That was exciting. But just even when we were in North Carolina, we went to all the different places we could drive to. Washington, same thing. We went out, we went to Canada, we went to the Grand Canyon. I mean, we would kind of use that as like a base to then drive and learn and see different places. And as many amazing and beautiful places as we saw, we always said, Florida's just home. It's home. It just always called us back. I would say the weather, but I think there are places that have probably better weather. I would probably say the change of seasons that the Carolinas have is nicer than Florida. But no, I do. I think that we are a melting pot. My family is originally from New York, so I love New Yorkers, and I always just feel right at home again when I'm around a lot of New Yorkers, and we've got a lot of New Yorkers here in Florida. So I feel like I've got my aunts and uncles with me every time I go into a store or run into someone, or Boston. But I think I do like that. People don't realize how cultural Florida can be. We're not New York where you've got these amazing museums and the theater, but we do have like the Dr. Phillips Theater. We do have a lot of musical events that come here. A lot of great artists come here. We have wonderful sports. I'm a huge college football fan, but we have all the sports. We even have ice hockey here in Florida. Like
Really?
We have ice hockey. I don't know if they're any good because I don't follow them, but they're the Solar Bears. Yeah, so there you go.
Wow.
I know.
And it's like, to most people out that aren't that familiar with Florida, it's like you think of Mickey, Minnie, and Universal Studios and SeaWorld.
Yeah.
And, but there's got to be a lot more there. And, and then you think of Miami as like the party area.
Yeah. I've actually never been to Miami, believe it or not.
I haven't either.
I know.
So
I need to
go visit Chris and tell him happy birthday.
Okay. Your cousin, my cousin's down there. I'm sure I have a cousin in Miami. I'm certain of that.
Yeah, but that's why I crack up with that Jimmy Buffett song. There's a line there that says everybody has a cousin in Miami.
I should know that. My husband's like obsessed with Jimmy Buffett.
I think it's free.
Yeah.
Not
I think
100% sure.
also it's not that big of a state. We can get all the way to Pensacola. I think it's like a 6-hour, maybe 7-hour. My sister's first husband was in the Air Force, and he was stationed in Pensacola, and I was like 8, so I don't remember it a lot, but I remember we drove there, and I remember those beaches are beautiful. We go to St. Augustine all the time. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. We can go down to Tampa. We go to Clearwater Beach, which is gorgeous. Our beaches here, I think, are great. So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what I like the best is that you can get to almost anywhere in the car, and it's a day trip.
So that blows my mind because I think of Florida as being this huge state that, basically if you're going to go from Jacksonville down Miami, you got to jump on a plane because if you look at it on the map, it almost seems like you're going from, say, Maryland down to South Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a drive, but it's not bad. My son went to Florida State, so he was up in Tallahassee. It's a 4-hour drive from us. It's a maybe 6.5-hour drive to Fort Lauderdale to Tallahassee. So, I mean, all the way, but maybe down to Key West up to Pensacola, that would be the longest distance. But really, you got to think we're long and skinny,
Yeah. You got kind of a unique shape.
We do. It's a boot upside down.
Well, and
it's a cowboy boot upside down.
Florida is almost shaped like Maryland, just turn it a little bit, and then we got the extra little piece hanging down. So, it's like, let's just see how creative we can get with these shapes. It's sort of like our founding fathers were playing Jenga.
I think they were, yeah.
They're like, let's just trace it out and see, and then go, we'll give you this little chunk, we'll give you this chunk.
Because you're right, we've got just that little hook up there by where, I guess kind of like where Tallahassee and Georgia meet, because you're literally, the border's right there.
Yeah.
So.
I love going down there. It's like, sign me up, except for during hurricane season, because y'all seem to be a little bit of a magnet for them.
Yeah. I mean, where we are, there we've been hit, don't get me wrong. We actually, the first house we bought, we moved in June 30th, and the trio, Charlie, Francis, Jean, hit in that October. So we had or September, whatever it was now. We'd only been there a couple months, and we lost our roof, we lost our pool cage, pool pump. Yeah, we had a good amount of damage to our new house that we depleted our savings to get into. We're like, oh, what are we doing? Yeah. But that was probably the worst. And then we recently, was pretty bad. We got hit pretty bad.
Are y'all seeing the same insurance hikes in Orlando that is happening in other parts of Florida?
Yeah, we have bad. It's bad. Yeah. Unfortunately, they keep saying they're going to pass different legislation to streamline this, and I don't know. I haven't seen it. I know, but our taxes are still lower. So it's like this balance. Our taxes are still lower than most other states, and of course, state income tax. So there's that too. But yeah, I think our state's not as affordable as it used to be, where a lot of people are moving here from other states. So they probably think it is, but all the prices have gone up. Gas has gone up. I mean, it's gone up everywhere. But with insurance, with the rental rates, with the housing costs, and salaries aren't really going up at the same rate. So that's tough. It's really, I really feel for these first-time home buyers. I've got a few right now, and they've done everything right. They're saving their money. They've got good credit. They've stayed in their job, for several years, and they're in that price point that everyone's looking at. And a lot of investors are still buying up investment properties here. So you're losing out to cash buyers for that, or just cash buyers in general that are moving here with a good chunk of change because they sold in Maryland and they have all the money.
Exactly. And we see a lot of people either moving there or Wilmington from here because y'all don't tax retirement checks. Right. You don't even have state income tax. Right. But here, a retirement check is taxed until you're a certain age and provided you make less than a certain amount. So I get half of my ex's retirement check and I look at how much is going out and I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair. Just no, give me my money back. I can spend it better. But it's, the benefit to us is we're not seeing the insurance hikes that y'all are. so far, our legislation's gotten their head together and we're not seeing the massive tax increases anymore.
Well, that's good.
And it's, if you like all four seasons, we got them.
Yeah.
You like the water, we got it. You like crabs, we got plenty of those. It is like I'm half an hour into DC, less than an hour Baltimore, 2 hours to Richmond.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
And then 2 hours to the good beaches over on the Atlantic. And then
Yeah.
you're probably 3 hours to the mountains.
Yeah.
Not
So we
a
don't have mountains. So there's one thing we don't have. We do not have mountains.
But I think there's so many pros and cons to everywhere that I think anywhere our military is getting stationed, you got options.
Absolutely.
And at least now they're getting to know more about us, getting to know more about the area, hearing some of our goofy stories and going, all right, they're fun to work with and they know their stuff. So
yeah, I love working with veterans. I mean, it just always brings me back, and we've been out a while, like as I mentioned, but it was the best time of our lives, and we really have some of the best stories from it. So whenever I get to work with them, I feel a little extra happy.
and you're like, all right, I got this. I got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, and the VA loans, that's one thing too, because this isn't really a like military town. You do have a lot of sellers and a lot of agents that don't understand VA loans. So it does require working with an agent that understands the ins and outs, and that's going to take that knowledge and educate the person on the other side. Not in a rude way, but sometimes they just don't know. They think that they have to pay for certain things, which I think years ago they had to pay for the WDO. They don't have to do that anymore. No lender's requiring that.
The biggest challenge we've seen with people who aren't truly educated on VA loans is they'll tell their sellers, don't take that. The appraisal is going to come in low.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
And I'm like, no, it's going to come in exactly where it would on any other loan.
Yeah.
So just calm down. We got this. Let's get it all under control. Let's make it work. So,
right. And I always offer, even as the buyer's agent, look, my buyer obviously feels that the house is worth it. We're not trying to undercut this in any way. If you want me to meet the appraiser and you can't, I will, and I will give them the comps that you want. We can discuss this. Talk about what comps we feel. Because when we go to put an offer in on a property, we look at the comps. I don't tell my buyer. I mean, sometimes buyers still want to make a higher offer because they want the house. And I have to walk them through and explain that's fine. But if it doesn't appraise, here are your options. But yeah, I mean, we have to go to bat. And I can say this, knock on wood. I've not had an issue with the VA appraisal.
The last time I had one, I think it was like 2008. And that was it.
So yeah,
that's when we were in Connecticut. It was
twice,
so long ago. And again, the market was going down 2% a month at the time. Yes. So I'll give the VA credit on that because they were being very conservative on their appraisals so that the buyer wasn't buying here. And then 3 months later, they were down here.
Right.
You're trying to keep it well within a few months before they were underwater.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Allison, I am truly enjoyed this and love getting to know you. And hopefully I'll see you at luxury next month.
I know, unfortunately, no. I've been traveling so much and I had to bow out. I'm really upset about it. But next year I will definitely be there next year. I'll plan better.
Good. And then but anyway, I do appreciate you being a guinea pig with me on this and
thank you. It's been fun.
Yes, and I will see you very soon.
All right.
Have a great day.
One. You too.